This is Breakfast Daily. Now, if you remember, in our opening introduction, we mentioned that we'll be having a conversation on fire. You realize that we are in the Hamatan, not two ways about it, and we've recorded quite a number of fire incidents. Very, very worrying. Don't forget that recently we just recorded a fire incident in Apromase in the Ashanti region where we lost an officer, a police officer, his wife and their baby. Very, very sad story. Now, in Aija, we've recorded another fire right here in Accra, in Achimota, we've recorded, and these are just a few of the many that we have recorded. We are going to show you some reports. When we come back, we will have a conversation. How do you prevent fires in this period? Now, in unlikely situation where you have a fire incident, how do you go about it? Do you rush out? Do you pour water on it? Do you pour sand on it? People have their own understanding and their own ways of how they think you can douse fire. But what is the appropriate way to go? In fact, when you are even building your house, whether it's for residential purposes, whether it's for commercial use, what are the safety requirements needed? This is the conversation we are having this morning. But before we do that, let's take a look at these reports. We'll be right back.
Close relatives and sympathizers grieved and wailed after news of the death of the officer went viral. The late 35-year-old Sergeant Osu Asante Befi with the anti-robbery unit of the Ghana Police Service perished in the fire together with his wife and a 3-month-old child.
We have lost a police officer and his wife, and it's very unfortunate. They have been, we cannot identify them, and as I'm speaking to you now, their dead bodies at Living Waters mortuary.
The deceased officer, described by many as hardworking, was an active member of the anti-robbery unit, which contributed to efforts by the police administration in reducing the crime rate in the Ashanti region. Other police officers and their families have been displaced and left traumatized following the incident. The Ghana National Fire Service is urging the public to install smoke detectors at their residential apartments to avert incidents like this.
The fire was well developed before they were realized there was a fire incident in their building. And you know smoke, when you inhale smoke a lot, before you realize it puts you down. And that's exactly what happened, and they were bent down. It's unfortunate, but that is it. In view of that, I'll encourage the indulgence of the public to install smoke detectors in their rooms. Smoke detectors. When you are asleep and there's any fire outbreak and the smoke detector picks the smoke, it will sound the alarm for you to wake up and for you to escape.
More than 200 police officers and their families live in these apartments located at Apromase. The fire that burnt this part of the facility damaged properties, although there were frantic efforts by fire officers and other neighbors to contain it. The Inspector General of Police led senior officers of his administration to commiserate with the victims.
You'll be supported welfare. Will be supported, that will be communicated to you individually and collectively. Your medical bills will be sorted through the medical director, will make sure you are catered for medically. And social support will also be offered to you and your family. Our brother and family, the administration will make sure that they are sent off in a very dignified manner. Because he died serving Mother Ghana.
The IGP, George Ekufu Dampari, spoke about further steps the police administration was taking following the incident.
We want to just let you be assured that we will do our very best for us to come out of this situation stronger and mightier. And a few things that we are doing after having discussions with my brother, the head of the fire service in the region, we have looked at it from the technical angle. The investigation is ongoing, And there will be a joint investigation between their good self and ourselves to find out what exactly happened and for us to be able to learn the relevant lessons from it. In addition to that, because of the fact that it happened within a set of blocks or flats, we don't want to take any chance. So I have instructed that all the other blocks not affected, we are going to have to evacuate all of you and give you a decent place nearby so that especially now that schools are reopened, the case will not be disadvantaged. And we are going to work on it now until we get to places of comfort and places that you are also happy to be. Whilst we leave this structure for a complete assessment by structural engineers, by electrical engineers, and all the other experts who can have a very comprehensive examination of the situation.
This incident is the third fire outbreak recorded in the Ashanti region within 3 days. Members of the anti-robbery unit have undoubtedly lost an active and vibrant team member.
In Wednesday morning's fire, belongings in the makeshift structure that was housing a mother and her kids were completely destroyed, while various items and equipment in a tailoring shop and a salon were destroyed as well.
But you fear na me ban or more frame me shop me buy no me bie ni me bie na ejano edem be fire service for mobile on buy na di be 13 minutes be one answer no be don ban so na ejani nyina ahye. Oh, fire service for take campus for buy from no almost so mo car na se be 4 months ni to mo flare atonsu for no mobile on ban so na ejani nyina ahye wi no money na ahye. Oh, machine 6 and she na man for materials dey apama wi a mo beje ene dey ton. Contrary
to claims that the officers from the Ghana National Fire Service did not arrive to the scene on time, the Ashanti Regional Public Relations Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, DO3 Peter Adair, says they got to the scene 12 minutes after receiving their distress call.
At 6:53 a.m. this morning, we had a distress call reporting a fire at Eija near the Chief's Palace. We quickly responded, and when we got to the scene, we realized that 2 metal containers and 1 wooden structure were on fire, so we put it out. But the fire affected the contents and the structure. Some few items were salvaged, which includes a fridge. The station we have at KNUST, the tender at the station is currently out of commission because of a mechanical problem, and we have technical people working on it as we speak to fix it. So the substation at regional headquarters responded to the fire at Eija. It took them 12 minutes to get there. When they got there, the fire was well developed. It was well developed before we even had the call.
Following the incident and recent fire outbreaks in the Ashanti region, in which 3 lives have been lost in January 2023 alone, the inhabitants are calling for more sensitization from fire officers.
There should be education. Now you see that we have a lot of FM stations. So it will be better for us, for the fire service personnel to go to most of the FM stations to educate our people that when you are leaving, make sure you switch off all your electrical gadgets and other things. And I think the fire service too should live up to expectation. What do I mean by live up to expectation? Now they have to testify their substations, almost all the stations now, because we are in dry season, a little drop of fire can raise up.
Keep fire service for because some will as well as for him. Sundays, so it's a man to cry once here. No more could be a matter this. Next week, be on Presby. No more education, it just if you are saying ammonia. And maybe I'm better ammonia saying into infant jamba. Say, it's just a bit me a protest, say, ancient and quite.
say the education na ebe boy. Yes, I know more it and be cried and critical it me. But you better now I'm not ash.
The Ashanti Regional Fire Commander, ACFO1 Henry Jiwa, however, insists his outfit has been intensifying education and wants the public to practice what they tell them.
I'm surprised they are saying this because we are almost everywhere. Just like I said, in churches, houses, we are moving from house to house. We are the lorry parks, we are the mosque, wherever you can think, even on the streets. You see our men there holding placards on the principal street of Kumasi just to educate. So we are doing a lot. Just that they should also make sure when they see these things, they should find time to also read something or listen to us. It will surprise you, you go to a place trying to educate them and nobody will even bother to listen to you. There was a day that we even went to a place. We have to start buying credits to entice them to listen to us. And it's pathetic. It's pathetic. So they should also make sure they also make time to listen to us.
Around 4:15 p.m., according to eyewitness account, there was a blast from one of the new 33,000 volts ethane transformers on the compound of ECG Achimota Bulk Supply Point substation. This followed plumes of smoke billowing from the transformer. At the time of reporting to the scene, firefighters from the Abilengbe Fire Service Station had doused the fire and were preparing to leave. The cause of fire is yet to be established. Normal activity had resumed with no spot of any group of bystanders discussing the incident. Speaking to Citi News, the security officer on duty, Daniel Oboda, gave an eyewitness account of the incident.
They come up. So they come out from inside the room. They run away. You go see I open the other gate. They pass there to go inside, to go and call the operator. So before I enter, our operator to come out. The meter, they say for off the machines, this machine, this thing for inside. So he off it. So before off it, then we come out. Then we start call the fire service. We call that and then they come out. So that is how I see the thing. Only the thing blast at once. At once, no, they start catching fire. Well, I don't know how the thing come because I didn't inside the room where I see say the thing blast. So before I tell me myself like I won't run away, but I say no. I for that I see the place where the thing come from. So where I tell myself that I see say the fire comes from here where this thing they brought out. That come out to go and call the operator.
The Assistant Divisional Officer 1 at the Abilengbe Fire Service Station, Nathaniel Amwa, indicated that some areas will be affected as a result of the inferno.
Yes, we are from Abilengbe Fire Station. And we had that call, distress call, that we had to attend to a fire at Achimota substation here. So we quickly rushed in. And when we came, it was one of their transformers that was on fire. And fortunately enough, we were able to extinguish it within the shortest time. And so the cause of the fire has not been established yet. Yes, we are still conducting our investigation. And we are talking to them. For now, there hasn't been any casualty, only that some areas of the city will not have power for now. Yes, that is what we know for now.
So if you say some areas, so areas including...
For now, I cannot establish that unless the ECG staff, yes.
Okay, and what's your assessment of the issue? Has it been extinguished totally?
Yes, it has been extinguished totally. And so, according to ECG, their staffers are coming in to restore power. So they have started working. Okay. Yes.
Meanwhile, efforts to get officials of ECG at the site to comment on the matter were unsuccessful.
Well, so these are but a few of the many fires we've recorded in 2023. January is not even over, and yet we are recording all these fires. Now, here in the studio, we've been joined by ADO2, Alex King Nate. He is with the Public Relations Department, Ghana National Fire Service. ADO,
hi.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, I've always wanted to ask this question, you know, apart from all we do to you people and they came with the empty truck, why would you come? There's no fire, and they came there and we called them and it took like forever for them to come and all that. Share with us, how dangerous is your work?
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning to you and your lovely viewers. Our work is, it's a calling. I won't really say it's a work. It's a calling because it takes a lot of sacrifice and a lot of commitment on your part to be a firefighter. When people are running away from fire, you are running in.
Yeah.
You are going in blind. You don't know what the person has in his room. You don't know if the person has explosives in there, such as cylinders or even knockouts in there, which could be very harmful. You're going in blind. So it's a calling. You have to have the calling to want to save lives. You want to have the calling to want to make a difference in the lives of people.
Right.
So recently, just in a space of 2 weeks, about 4 of our men have suffered life-threatening conditions due to firefighting. One had to be flown from Takrady to 37 Hospital because a building collapsed on him.
Ooh.
You know, if not for the fact that he had the helmet on, it would have been very dire. Even with that, you know, he's still on critical observation at 37 Hospital. We had one of our colleagues also attending a fire at Graphic Road, and he had to jump all the way from a 3-story building because the building was collapsing. So he jumped, he broke his hand, his leg, his head. He's at the Circle Station. So we've had a lot of these incidents. Some of our men go for fires, and there's one such fire they went to, and unfortunately all the crew died except one person.
How many were they?
There were about 8 people, and all the 7 died because the fire they had to fight had to do with toxic materials. You know, so after fight they fought for the fire, but with time all of them died.
So, well, that's very unfortunate, and we appreciate the work you do. But is that why you guys would move to a fire scene without water?
Okay, so personally, have you experienced any such situation where men have come to a fire scene without water before?
Personally, no, because for me, if there's even fire, I will move away from that.
Like, you know, like...
But you've heard this.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
But whether you've personally experienced it.
I've not personally experienced it, but
I
I've
haven't. No, you see, and that's the funny thing. Wildfires and unfortunate rumors spread like wildfire, you know, and I think this might be something that someone might have, you know, hallucinated some years ago and, you know, it's run down. There's no way, because even the ordinary person on the street wouldn't go to a fire scene without water. Even if that person crowd knows that you need water to fight the fire. How much more learned people who've gone through training? The thing is that we don't fight every fire with water.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You know, if you try fighting certain fires with water, you end up either escalating the situation or you end up killing yourself. Fires that has to do with electricity or electrical fires can be very life-threatening. Water is a very good conductor of electricity. So once you pour water on these electrical fires, you kill yourself. Let me throw your mind back to this unfortunate incident at Circle, opposite Vienna City. That fire. You realize that it was raining.
Yes.
Heavily that day. But yet the fire was well alight.
But the place was flooded.
The place was flooded. So if water could have, you know, quenched that fire, we wouldn't have had that situation that we had.
And the fire, I must say, started after the rains.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of water already, and yet the fire was
able to, you know,
to actually.
So when our men get to a fire scene, we do our own assessment. No one in the fire service is dumb. Everyone is educated.
Yeah.
You know, so when we get there, we do our assessment. When we realize that it's a fire that involves electricity, we'll have to call on ECG to cut power supply to the area before we're able to start firefighting. So when we get there, we are waiting for ECG to cut supply. We didn't come with water.
They came and stood here. They were not doing anything. They were standing here, they were not doing anything.
But that's why we're having this conversation. Sometimes you should let us know the processes involved.
Okay.
You know?
So let's do this. We want to hear from you, you know, as the conversation goes on, your experiences, your questions. Sometimes you may hear Alex Nate say certain things that you may have a question about, right? Do send us in a WhatsApp message. Let us know what you're thinking, questions that you may have for him, and so on. So it's 0204 447 033, okay? Let me just say that again, 0204 447 033. The number is on your screen. You please send us a message. Let us hear what your thoughts are regarding this. Now, Alex, the thing about, let's roll it back a little bit. What is it that causes fire?
Okay, so three different things come into play for fire to happen. You know, source of ignition, combustible materials, and then oxygen.
Okay.
So when you take one out, there's no fire. Unfortunately, in Ghana and even Africa, you know, on the whole, people place more priority on security, much more than safety. There's been the unfortunate incidents when we've
Explain the difference for our viewers to understand.
Yeah.
People place a lot more emphasis on security than safety. Explain the difference.
All right. So I think let me make an example. I'm sure at your home you have a lot of burglar proofs around your house. That's because you are scared of thieves. You know, but I wouldn't want to put you on the spot, but I doubt if you have an extinguisher at home.
Not at home, no.
Exactly.
No.
You know, so you're thinking more about your security than your safety. You know, and so that's how it is. People keep their cylinders in their kitchens because they are scared thieves to steal the cylinders instead of putting it outside. Mind you, the cylinder might probably cost at most 500 cedis if the thief steals it. But if the cylinder leaks and it's inside and it explodes,
you are gone.
Your life, you don't even be alive to pay that 500 cedis. You know, so people have, I wouldn't want to put any service on the spot, but people have security installations at their areas, but wouldn't advocate for fire stations in their areas.
Is it not because top of mind, we don't see danger? Do you see? We know that as we are leaving the house, our neighbor was robbed yesterday, somebody scaled the wall and came and picked things off the drying line. You know, those random things that happen from day to day, it's very much with us, it's in our mind. But for the last 10 years, there's been no fire on this street. So in our minds, it's not there, it's not top of mind. How do we bring it to people in a real way to say, listen, you know something, it may not have happened for the last 10 years, but tomorrow, looking at the conditions, it can easily happen tomorrow.
That's why we are here. We've been, for God knows how long, we've been drumming down. We have even most of our people going down to the grassroots, going down to homes to sensitize people. Believe it or not, people do not open their doors to our people. People always have this unfortunate and funny perception that fires are very much far away from them. Just this morning, before I came here, our men had attended about not less than 3 or 4 fires.
Today?
Just
this morning?
This morning from, you know, Spintex, Ashaman. I think there were 2 incidents at Ashaman, and then another incident somewhere, you know. And we have, this is just between, let's say, 2 a.m. to what problem I was awake till before I came here. And this is how alarming it is. The previous day, there was a fire at Antioku, where a sofa machine, a sofa making place had caught fire and had spread to 2 buildings. Our men were there fighting the fire. At that same time, there was fire at Lashibi. At that same time, the ECG substation at Achimota was on fire. At that same time, there was a fire at airport. And this is just a spate of 2 to 3 hours, just at that same time.
Now, are you able to give us some figures? You know, for instance, just in 2023, we've recorded this number of fires, maybe in Greater Accra, in the Ashanti region, or across the country. And also, if we are indeed winning this educational fight, you know, how has the numbers been like over the years?
Okay, so fortunately, we have the statistics. From 1st January to 23rd January. Brace yourself for this. We had well over 640 fires.
What? 1st January
to 23rd January.
Over 600?
No, wait, Alex, hold on. You see, the thing you are saying, you know, it's like some extreme exaggeration.
Okay, so are you ready to hear last 2 years own? Last 2 years, we recorded not less than, I think, 859 fires within the
same period. Wow. So, wait. The factor of Harmattan, how much does it come into play? Because you're giving us figures in the January season, and we are looking at a dry period.
Yes.
Yeah. How much does the dryness have to play?
It plays a lot. It plays a key role. So during January, especially November, December, January, we really intensify our campaigns a lot. And so that's how come we've seen a slight decline in the rate of fires as compared to what we recorded the previous year. And so we normally embark on campaigns to advise people to desist from indiscriminate burning. Believe it or not, you see. And one thing I have to state when you asked about the threat as a fireman is that people, through their own negligence, probably through no fault of theirs, cause their fires. As a service, we are mandated, no matter how the situation is, to manage it. So when our men come there, instead of supporting our men, they hoot at them as if we set the fires. We didn't set the fires. If they had listened to the education we churn out, we wouldn't have the situation. So we always tell people indiscriminate burning is one thing. Unattended fires. They'll be burning.
You set the fire and then you go.
You go.
Look, I mean, I don't mean to cut you, but over the weekend, I saw something that I was very shocked. The Achimota runabout, the Achimota forest runabout, you know, I saw fire. Like they had gathered some rubbish. They were burning the rubbish in the runabout, and we had police people standing there.
Okay. You know,
it's unfortunate.
And you know that area has street lights.
And it's a very prime area.
Yes.
What? Burning?
Yeah. Well,
you see, and yet when they call our men and we come the fire service. As if we burnt it. And we've been always telling them, no indiscriminate burning.
So, Alex, what we're going to do is that we're going to take a short break. When we come back, let's look at a number of things. Let's look at the national nature, the distribution of fires. Okay. Let's try and understand why certain areas don't seem to have as much fire incidents
as other areas.
Okay. And then what we can do on a personal level to protect ourselves. We'll have all these conversations when we return from the break, okay? We'll take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. As we're having a conversation about fire and fire outbreaks across the country, the state of the nation as far as the way we handle fires are concerned. The WhatsApp line on your screen, it's 0204 447 033. Do let us know what you think, or the questions you may have, if you want answers to anything regarding fires. As we've been talking, our fire expert has been giving us a good lesson on what happens, when there's a fire. They are called to the location. When they get there, mind you, they didn't start the fire. When they get there, their job is to put out the fire, to extinguish the fire. But as they are coming in, most of the time, maybe 99% of the time, or maybe more than that, they are walking in blind, not knowing if there are explosives in the building, if in the next 10 seconds there's a gas bottle that is on fire that's about to fly in their direction.
If the building itself is
about to collapse. If the building is about to collapse. They have no idea, and yet they are walking in to extinguish the fire. What is our role, and how can we assist them to do their work? We want to take a look at the national nature of the fires that have taken place.
Coco, before we go that, we have some messages from viewers on Facebook. Now, this is coming from Kwabna Donfe. Kwabna says, I suggest fire service enforce strict compliance of every household installing fire extinguisher. This can help reduce destruction in the event of fire outbreak. Now, Muddy J. Addo is also asking my first question. Why do they always move the tank to the fire location knowing perfectly well they don't have water or whatever in it? Now, that this question or this concern has been addressed. And so Alex is telling us there is no way they get a distress call that there's a fire outbreak and they will move the truck empty. So that doesn't happen. Now, you will answer, but I also want us to look at, so you move the truck. I know you probably might not have enough, you know, because sometimes when you are moving, you don't know the intensity of the fire. And so you are moving in. Will the water get finished? Is that something that can happen? Now, if it gets done, let's say you are in Alaju, you move the truck, there's water in it, but you get there, you realize that it is not enough. Do we have enough fire hydrants around just to make your work easier or to save lives and property? Before you go to the national distribution,
Okay, so whenever you see, when you see a fire tender that big, it doesn't contain all water.
Okay.
You know, apart from fires, we do rescue, we do extrication. When people are trapped, it's the job of the fire service. When there's even a big attack, it's all the fire service we are called on. So when you see a big fire tender, it doesn't contain all
water.
The water contains just a fraction of the tender.
I think you should take us on a tour on some of the
I think
water.
your people were with us auto show. Okay. We took them through it. You know,
maybe to demonstrate what exactly is inside.
We have, you know, all our extrication tools in the appliance.
Okay.
And not to throw a shade, but our appliance is not a sea. It's not a river. It's a container.
Okay.
And
so there's limited water supply.
So can you tell us the volume of water that you can take at a given time?
A certain, I think, I'm not too sure of the number of gallons, but yes, some quantity of gallons of water. And the reason I'm not able to give the exact figure is that we have different types of appliances. Yes, we have PS, we have Volvo. They all have different capacities. So they have to bear in mind, when we get to a fire scene, and believe it or not, when even an appliance is spoiled or faulty, at a station, there's always water in there. Whenever any station goes to fight fire, you'd have to communicate to the control room that you're done fighting the fire. You're going to replenish.
Okay.
So if there's any fire, the control room will call you to confirm whether you are done replenishing before they'll give you another fire. So there's
another
no
fire?
Way, yes.
Yeah, so before they say, go to this other fire.
Yes, because our men that fought the Achimota fire, immediately from Achimota, they moved to Antioch to augment the efforts of the firefighting there. You know, so if the person sending the message, even knows that he has to go with water, how much more educated people like us who've gone through rigorous training would move? And the word he used was very offensive, that knowing very well we don't have water. That's a very ignorant statement to make. You know, because why would you move then? What's the sense of our existence?
What are you going to do there if you are not carrying water?
We are not cheerleaders to go and cheer the fire on. We are going to fight fires. So to make an ignorant statement like that, he's exposing his ignorance. He has to ask. That's why I explained that we don't fight every fire with water. When we get to a scene and realize that the fire is more than what the capacity can take, then it's communicated to our control room that we need more appliances to augment. Ideally, that shouldn't be the case because, mind you, when we are calling for another appliance somewhere, and that appliance comes to this location, and there's a fire at that location, it means that there's a shortage there. So another appliance has to move from a very far distance just to get there. So if Ghanaians play their role of being gatekeepers, being each other's keepers, and ensuring that our hydrants are protected. And not people do not build on it. People do not turn our hydrants into refuse.
But how is that so? Anyway, why can't you locate your hydrants?
You see, it's a collaboration between the fire. It's the hydrant is not the property of the Ghana National Fire Service. It's the property of the Ghana Water Company.
Okay,
Because they build these things, and our municipal assemblies are not helping much, because they allocate shops and stores, and they go and collect tools from these people. So it's up to them to make sure that where they are locating to these people are free of obstruction
They're
for
not
hydrants.
blocking fire
So
hydrants.
people are building on the hydrants?
Cantamanto, when we went to fight the fire recently, we're struggling to find a place to replenish. Then someone was like, oh, I think I've seen something like that in someone's store. We had to go and open the store to see the hydrants in someone's shop.
But how can you also be in a shop at how? I mean,
You see, and there are people there who know this and would turn a blind eye. And when our people get there, they will attack the man for the
Okay, so you have, I'm thinking about fire service as an institution. You have fire tenders that have water replenished in the tenders. But you don't depend on that alone, because you have fire hydrants that give you a lot more water located around, let's look at Accra, around the capital, in different places, different spaces. However, as you were saying that, if you pull one tender from this direction to come and fight a fire here, it means this area is short of a tender. In case there's a fire, there's short of a tender. Are there areas in Accra that are densely populated that have no fire tender or fire station close by?
Yes.
Like where?
Like where?
East Legon. The whole of East Legon, Ajingano, School Junction, Trezako, there's no single fire station there.
Wow.
The whole of Sotum, Anya, Kwashiman, Dakuman, there's no single fire station there.
Wow. And those are heavily populated areas.
Do we know how many fire stations we have in Accra?
I don't have the figure yet, but not every fire station has appliances.
Okay.
And mind you, our appliances are quite old. I have to concede. Most of the appliances you see are well over 10 years, almost 15 years old. And these are not appliances that you can go to the market to buy. They are custom made. So I know plans are far advanced to try and replace some of these redundant tenders. So they have to bear in mind that also when we are going for fire, the people, you'd see people blocking streets to do funerals, to do parties, naming ceremonies. And our appliances do not have helicopters on it to fly over these places. And if we have to get the people to dismantle the canopies, it takes a while. So we get there in the Mwambantem. It's not who would want to go to a place and then go and see people.
So it looks like I mean, from a number of things you've said, a lot of the work has to be done by our local assemblies to do the right thing.
Because really,
at any point in time, because
fires, for instance, access routes.
Yes. So Ghana Water Company has sited hydrants, but somebody has not monitored who is blocking the hydrants, building over the hydrants, covering up the hydrants, and even, let's say, in market spaces, permits have been given, people have taken containers on hydrants.
They go and collect their tools. You go and then someone has probably mounted their used clothing that they are selling on these things, and yet the market MMDCs who have got people taking their tools who go there and take the daily toll from these people.
But would you not say that it's a lack of it's ignorance that is so the person who's collecting tolls from the MMDCE doesn't even know the function of this thing that the person is hanging their clothes on?
So I think that's where their supervision also has to come in. Whoever is employing them or mandating them to perform their duties has to also do his due diligence of educating the people, giving them guidelines that before you do this, look out for this and this and this. You know, as a fire service, as a station, we are, even if here at Citi you need a fire post here, you apply to the chief fire officer, it can be done. When was the last time you heard of fire at National Theatre Conference Center? That's because we have a fire post over there. So these people do preventative services. And it's very important. When we had the fire 2 days ago at Ofanko Barrier, Moose, where they sell the wood, we had about 6 or 7 appliances there at that time. We couldn't get anywhere around there to replenish. We had to move all the way from Ofanko Barrier to Circle Vienna City
Oh, wow.
But then the whole place will be
burned
raised down.
down.
So
by the
you
time
see,
you
at
come
that
back.
time we had been calling for more appliances.
Yeah.
So as strategic as we are, when we call for more appliances and they are there fighting the fire, then the other
others
ones
can
will
leave.
Go quickly
move.
and go and
But
get.
you see, it's a long distance.
Yeah,
And
it
this
is a
one
long
was at dawn, so it was a bit advantageous. So look at, let's take it that it had happened during the day when there was heavy traffic.
Yeah.
And they have
That
to
would
go
have
and
been problematic.
replenish and come back.
Can we look at the national nature of the fire situation? If we can just put that up, looking at how the fire, nationwide spread of fires around the country, and to see how, you know, certain areas of the country have less fire. The other one, there's another one that we have, this one here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you look at this, we see that the Ashanti region seems to have had the highest. This is just from the period of 1st to the 23rd of January.
Exactly.
Right? So Ashanti region has the highest number of fires. Now, if you look, you will see that the lowest is the northeast.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, can you explain what accounts for this difference?
Okay, so you realize that the areas that have higher fire numbers are places that are heavily populated, that are heavily industrialized, or there's a lot of urbanization going on there.
Okay.
At the northeast areas and the western north, that records low fires. That's because a lot of urbanization and doesn't happen there.
Okay.
The fires we normally record there are bushfires.
Okay.
You know, bushfires, but
so even though northeast is probably way drier,
and you would think
and
that
that
they
it
should record
could
more fires, and that their architecture.
Yes.
So you think that
yes.
naturally
so
they should.
thatch roofs,
Exactly.
and all of that, they should have more fires. Somehow it looks like it's all human related.
And I think sometimes over education shows ignorance. I have to say it as it is.
Yeah.
Where we feel like people should be much more enlightened,
Yeah.
we realize that
That's
the
where they
enlightenment
are.
doesn't really go on as we expect. You know, so we have a lot of industries. Yes, some might be human negligence or human error, but then again, there's a fact of these machines that people use. I don't think the use of electricity at the northeast and all would be as heavy as it would be in Ashanti, Accra.
Yeah.
You know, so those are some of the reasons accounting for
The other map we have also breaks down the various incidents, the types. I think if we can have that on there, so you can also explain to us, this one, so you realize that domestic fire is 224. Explain this to us and why we have these figures.
Okay, so we record a lot of the domestic fires, a lot, most of the time, because domestic fires has to do with fires at homes.
Yeah.
And as I said, people would leave home, probably the lights go off, the aircon is on, they leave the home without putting off the aircon, and there's a power surge, and then there's fires. People leaving their cylinders in their kitchens. People leaving their cooking unattended to. They'll be cooking and then they'll leave to go and watch ball or watch some telenovela. They might be using this oil to cook. So when the oil gets too hot, they can escalate. You know, if there's any leakage whatsoever, children are also allowed into the kitchens. When children are allowed into the kitchens, you know, children have short attention spans. They can put on the gas cylinder, wanting to put on the fire, will probably be distracted, go out, come back, and then maybe when they try putting it on, they will realize that it's already on. Oh, okay.
Then let me light
the thing. And I must say here that for my little science knowledge, vapor and gas is really what your problem is when it comes to fires.
A lot.
Not even so much liquid.
Yeah.
You know, so in the case of, let's say, fuel, we're looking at petrol. It's not the liquid that catches fire; it's the vapor that catches fire. You know, and
that's what travels very
it's
fast.
violently explosive.
And people stock some of these combustible materials in their homes. Some people even go as much as storing their car tires, their used car tires, in their rooms, their storerooms. And you see, sometimes fires happen naturally when these things are kept in a stuffed area without ventilation. Over time, the fire begins to smolder. You know, so we have what we call smothering. So the fire would gradually be burning, and then maybe when you are not at home or when you are asleep, that's when the fire would then escalate. And then because there are a lot of these fuel materials such as the tires and people keeping petroleum products in their homes, people keeping generators in there, then it poses a threat to them.
We have quite a number of messages.
Yeah.
So sometimes it takes time for the fire service team to respond to their distress call, which results in more damage before they come to your aid. This is coming from Raphael from Odumase Krobo. Now, good morning, Citi. Come to Kwesi team and see people's doors on fire hydrants. And when you talk about it, they try to insult you. Banasco...
for you all.
For you all, Kwesi team. Now, I would like to commend my colleague ADO Alex for the good work he's doing. Sometimes I believe the public just wants push blame on the fire service for their own mistakes. If you go around and ask, you realize some people don't even know our emergency numbers or even the nearest fire station close to them. Sometimes too, it's ignorance that makes them say we don't come with water, that we agree. Now, what the public doesn't know is that, one, we have different tenders with different water capacities. Alex has said that. In addition to that, the whole tender you see doesn't contain water. That has been said as well. The pressure at which the water is pumped out through the hoses is high and can get finished within a few minutes. In addition to the high pressure, the number and big sizes of hoses we use attribute to the water in the tank getting finished within a few minutes at fire scenes. These are just a few things that make the public think we come without water. And unfortunately, you did not ask your name. You did not add your name to the your message. Would like to know who you are. Now, please ask the officer, what do they have an organization? What do they have an organization?
Do they have an organization?
Okay, do they have an organization that goes around to teach the citizen how to fight fire before they arrive? Exactly, that is what he's doing. This is Joel from Pantime. David, you want to take some?
Yeah. Good morning. My name is Dominic Amedume from Asotwari Junction. I want to ask if the fire service, police service, and ECG work together. So basically, it's asking about collaboration.
Yes, we collaborate a lot.
Okay.
Whenever there's any fire incidents, and our men face hostilities. So this is what happens. When our men face hostilities, we call for police assistance. Whenever there's a fire involving electricity, we call ECG to cut off power supply to the area. So it's a collaboration.
Sure.
Yeah, this one here says, good morning. I suggest that our fire officers should be giving practical education to the citizens. And that Alex has been saying that they actually do that, and they do that regularly. They can do that at basic school levels, secondary level, and especially the tertiary institutions. Together, we can reduce the high level of fire outbreaks. Now, our fire officers should be visiting houses, hotels, hostels, etc., to inspect firefighting equipment, fire extinguishers, hydrants, smoke detectors, etc. Okay, so these are comments coming in. Now, let me just ask. I think, and I stand to be corrected, but I think that in terms of mass education, there's a limit to which the service itself can go on a day-to-day, weekly, monthly, to look at the way Accra, even Accra alone, look at how we are spread out. And people are watching us from all across the country, and some people have never experienced fire personnel coming in to educate them, right? I'm asking, can we not do some kind of like a packaging that says that we have short documentaries, short advertisement type, programs. Okay, I'm not talking about anything beyond 5 minutes, but it's very educative.
But I've seen
and then
stuff
we
like
can
that
push,
before.
we can push those ones out so that you reach a lot more people.
You see, as a service, we've been strategic with our outreach. If you go on our Facebook page, Ghana National Fire Service, we have a lot of other fake accounts that we are trying to clamp down on.
Okay.
But when you want to identify the real one, that's the one that has the 32K followers.
Okay.
If you go there right now, you realize that we have our people at Cape Coast were at UCC recently to engage with students, freshers at UCC to do education. You see, Citi and some other stations have been very receptive to fire service, and we are very grateful for that. But there are some other stations that do not support us, but would carry our issues, the negative press, and talk about it. So if all other stations could be like Citi and other stations that give us the platform, we would love it. We have short documentaries. The unfortunate thing is that it's very difficult for Ghana National Fire Service to access sponsorship.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
But I also think that,
so that we put it up on, like we have documentaries, we have short videos that we've done. We have a very vibrant and proactive PR department, and so we have all these videos, but the platforms.
Yeah, but I also think that we as citizens have a role to play. I mean, as we are speaking, we still have people whose cylinders are in their rooms, and we need to be very careful about that. But in an instance where we have fire, so I'm home, there's fire, what do I do?
Okay, so when...
So let's look at, I have a fire extinguisher, and an instance where I do not have a fire extinguisher.
Okay. All right, so in both instances, the first thing to do is to call 112 or 192. That's the first call you make. 112, 192. Calm down and give us the correct location. Describe the situation at hand so that we can be able to dispatch the nearest appliance. While you immediately after that, then if you have a fire extinguisher, you then try to manage the fire at the incipient stage.
So we have images on the screen.
Yes.
Can you tell us about?
Okay, so we have different types of extinguishers. As can be seen, we have water, we have dry powder, we have foam, we have CO2, and then we have wet chemical.
Okay.
But here in Ghana, most of the time, most of the ones we see are the CO2 and the dry chemical powder.
Okay.
Which are effective for fighting almost every type of
So
fires.
which one is this?
This one is it has to be identified by the horn. So so because I couldn't see the horn.
So the middle one seems like the dry powder one.
No, that's the CO2.
That's the CO2 rather.
And they're identified by their horns.
Okay.
You see, so the dry chemical powder is identified by just a long tube. So that's how you know. So it's not by the color.
Okay.
In some jurisdictions.
Can we see the one with all the them
types
lined up together?
Yeah.
That one is will give us a better perspective of what we are looking at.
Yes.
So
with this, you don't really see the horns.
Yeah.
But then it's identified by the horns. So I think there's one over here. You see it by the horn.
Yeah.
Once you see the one with the horn, you know that's the CO2. And then the one with the hose, the thin hose, is the dry chemical powder.
Yeah.
The dry chemical powder is not encouraged.
Okay.
So we have the long, slim ones there.
Yes.
So the CO2 is what we were referring to earlier.
Yes, that one can be used in even in the kitchens. It doesn't pose any danger.
Okay.
But then the dry chemical powder can be poisonous if used in the kitchen.
Okay.
Because then it's like a powder.
Yeah.
So it leaves residues. It settles.
Yeah.
And so if it's probably
If it's
settles
going
on
into
any of
some
your
food substance or
exactly,
utensils or
and you
whatever.
don't clean it well,
Yeah.
could be poisonous. So the CO2 can be recommended even for homes. So it's suitable for electrical fires and even gaseous fires.
Let me ask about the CO2. When you are discharging the gas, will you see?
You
Will
see
you
the
see
gas.
the gas?
You see
You
the
will
gas.
see the gas. Okay.
Yes, but it's not poisonous.
Okay.
It's
So
not poisonous.
you were telling us about what to do if I experience fire in my home.
So then when you experience fires, first you call on the fire service. You use the extinguisher only at the incipient stages.
Okay.
When the fire started, very small. But please, when it gets out of hand, go out, close every window, close every door, and stay out and wait for our men to come and do what they do best.
Okay.
Don't try fighting fires with an extinguisher when the fire is...
I want you to explain why it's important to close every window, close every door.
Okay. So if the fire needs oxygen to grow or to blow up.
Yeah.
So when you deprive the fire of oxygen, which is one of the three component elements of fires, then at least the fire wouldn't get oxygen to go out.
Yeah. If you wake up in the middle of the night and your room is full of smoke, number one, it means there's a fire either haven't started somewhere or it's beginning.
Yes.
What should your reaction be?
So your reaction first, look for your phone, call the fire service, and stay low.
In other words, stay on the
Stay
ground.
on the ground.
Don't stand up into the smoke.
Yes, because the smoke sometimes even kills people before the fire kills them.
But the smoke is down there too.
No, it isn't.
It isn't.
That's the funny thing about, because a lot of people don't realize this. That's why I'm actually asking him.
Okay.
Because smoke never hits the ground. Smoke always starts.
Well, that's why you studied science in
You
school.
see-
We,
no,
we the general
no,
ask people.
No, so no.
I studied general as well.
But you're a fire officer.
No, but you see, I think it's important.
No. So
for
I'm
us
asking
to understand, right?
genuinely, yeah.
In
I'm
a
asking.
room full of smoke, the
Yeah.
smoke is never on the ground.
Yeah, David. So we
It's
get
always
that.
up
Okay.
below, about this
So
level.
now we lie on the
and
ground.
then you
We
lie
get
on
that.
the ground,
But
you-
why?
you
So
stay-
there was a message from Raphael that says that sometimes it takes time before you even pick up distress calls.
You see, so then I was coming to that.
So
Believe
can we
it or
do
not-
this in just 60 seconds?
Okay.
Yeah.
So between last year, just before from last year to the middle of last year, we had recorded well over 2 million prank calls.
2 million
So-
prank
yes.
calls.
And you see, our emergency lines are just like your mobile phones.
Yes.
And if there's someone on the line,
You can't
until the person gets off the line, you can't pick another call.
Yeah.
So that's where being each other's keeper comes in.
Is it like call waiting? So
not-
will it ring?
It will ring.
But
No,
you
but
know,
I think
sometimes call waiting, you don't get the call, but as far as you are concerned, it's ringing, nobody is picking up.
Yeah.
yes.
So is that
you
something
hear
like
it
that?
ringing. You hear it ringing.
Yeah.
But then there might be someone on the line. There's no way you'd call and they would not pick
Yeah.
up. And believe it or not, when you call for fire and our control room dispatches an appliance, if you spend more than a minute at the station, you'll be queried.
Okay.
Immediately we receive the fire call. Within 1 minute, the
got-
appliance is already on its way.
Yeah.
But then some of these situations I explained, traffic situation, people blocking roads, the people even
So
building.
your house is burning. Somebody is doing a funeral
Yeah.
on the road.
That's
so
a
they are
problem.
looking for a place
It
to
blocks
even
you.
pass and come.
And
That's
come.
the
And
situation.
come.
In discipline, all
So
over
that's
the
why you have
place.
to be each other's keeper.
Yeah.
When you see someone making prank calls, depressed people, and we receive a lot of these prank calls during vacation of kids, when kids are on vacation.
Yeah.
Then they tend to play with it.
They've
So
seen-
you have to be mindful.
They've seen the emergency number. They
So
want
they
to
just
play
call
around
it.
and just see.
And call
So
it.
you have
if
to
you
be
go to-
mindful
to
that
go.
Yeah.
if you don't check some of these things, if you see someone doing it,
Yeah.
tell the person to stop because
Fantastic.
What's
you might be
what's
blocking-
your social media handle? Because people are watching, they may want to engage with you further.
Yes.
Where do people go?
Ghana National Fire Service
Okay.
on all our platforms. We are even on TikTok. We are advanced.
Nice one. And the emergency numbers again.
112 and 192. One thing I always encourage people to do is that please get the numbers of the closest fire station to you so that you can call them directly in case there's any fire. So let me quickly put out a landline that when you call the 192 and 112, you're not able to reach. And you can even try that right now. I'll give you the number you call to go through. So you can call 029 170 2094.
Okay, 029
170 2094, or you could call 0302 772 446. And if you call any of these numbers, you are guaranteed of prompt response.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. We've been speaking with ADO2 Alex King Nate.